Chapter 7. Departure. The next day, in front of the huge harbor in the Marineford, large warships were docked there and the groups of recruits were boarding them. A total of 10 large warships each was filled with one group from the ordinary camp, and in addition to recruits there were 5 vice admirals boarding with them. Although they are only from the ordinary camp, they still got the chance to join the elite camp in the future. So when they are gone to the sea to carry out the assessment, the headquarters sent 5 vice admirals to ensure their safety. Soon warships started leaving the harbor and headed to the sea. But the strange thing is that only 9 out of 10 ships left, and the last one was still there docked on the shore with no sign of leaving. The recruits in that warship were quiet, but after some time they began to get restless. Usually the ships would leave at the same time, but what happened now? Some people frowned and muttered, "When do we start?" Other teams started, "What about us?" Many of the recruits were dissatisfied. Although things didn't become chaotic, they still began talking. And at this time a person comes from a distance and directly boarded the ship. The man boarded was Roger. "Sorry, I am late," said Roger while moving, then found a place in the corner and sat down. He didn't even explain why was he late. He wasn't talkative, and he also didn't talk much with the recruit anyway. Although Roger in this month was not small anymore, most people still recognized him. After all, he was in the camp for a month. The voice of all the recruits stopped with the arrival of Roger. Watching this, a few had a stunned look on their face. Did the warship stay behind waiting for Roger? After a brief silence, a large noise broke out. "What is this? Did we wait so long for him? Didn't he already quit? Even if he's the nephew of Vice Admiral Garp, this is still too much." Most of the recruit looked at him with disgust and were very dissatisfied with him. Originally they were restless because of the assessment. So even with a little thing like this, they exposed a strong dissatisfaction. A few of the recruit remained calm. One of them was the person known as strongest in the ordinary camp, 10 Drake, but when he saw Roger his eye flashed. This guy, he became stronger. Before, Drake wasn't concerned about Roger, but once he saw him now he felt the change that happened to him. As if he was a different person. However, although it seems that Roger became a lot stronger, but Drake did not particularly care. Originally, he was the worst in all the camp. Even if he experienced some kind of change this month, how much can someone change in a month? After all, Drake's goal is being first in the camp, not first in the group. After looking for a moment, he turned his eye from Roger and didn't care anymore, and the recruits become noisier. The Vice Admiral directed a cold look and said, "Quiet down." With this, the warship once again quieted down. Most people closed their mouths, but in their face, a dissatisfied look still remained, when looking at Roger. In the next moment, all the faces with dissatisfaction instantly disappeared. Because all the officers in the warship were saluting, including the Vice Admiral, and over there 2 men dressed in marine attire were walking slowly side by side, and in the eyes of the crowd countless look of worship and reverence appeared. One of them is Garp, while the other walking step by step, rising a majestic momentum with every step. All respected him. He is the Marineford new elite camp instructor, but also former Marine Admiral. No wonder they will wait here. They were originally waiting for Admiral Zed and Vice Admiral Garp. Why would they even wait for that guy? When recruits saw Garp and Zed, the dissatisfied face disappeared. Looking at Garp and Zed, many revealed looks of respect. At this time no one paid any attention to Roger. All the crowd saw now is Garp and Zed. While Garp boarded the ship, he swept his gaze, finally reaching Roger's body. Then he grinned and then directly moved into the upper cabin with Zed to have Zed and Garp watching. The Vice Admiral looked at the recruits and said, "Vice Admiral Garp and the Chief Instructor Zed will personally watch, so give them a good performance." Yes. The recruits were in rows. They saw Zed and Garp boarding. The recruit became excited because Garp and Zed will personally watch the assessment. Only Roger, sitting in the corner, didn't have any excitement and even lazily sitting between 2 cannons. He only glanced a little at the recruits. Then he glanced down. Drake noted Roger's gaze. In fact, from the time he got here, Roger paid attention at Drake. Not because he is the 5th group strongest or because he's the ordinary camp strongest, but because he is one of the supernova from Luffy's era. One of the 11 supernova, but now he's just a recruit. Originally, Drake became a rear admiral, and for some reason, he rebelled against the Marine and became a pirate. I don't know if he already got the ancient Zoan devil fruit or not. Roger slightly shook his head and he no longer looked and cared. The warship finally left at full speed and soon there was only the sea, nothing else. This is where many sea kings live. From time to time you could see those huge kings come out from a distance and then return back into the water. This large ship had a turbo power, so it can easily sail without wind, and even if they didn't have the turbo they still have Garp and Zed. After a while, they arrived at a small island. There were many small islands that formed an archipelago. Those islands had various plants and from time to time there will sound a roar from deep within one of the islands. It was breathtaking. The other 9 warships were docked in different places and soon the warship that Roger was riding stopped in the edge of the archipelago in a small island. This is where you will have your assessment. After docking, the Vice Admiral spoke to all recruits, while Garp and Zed didn't show up. End of Chapter 7. To be continued. Chapter 8. Examination begins.